Welcome everybody to episode 266 of the effing title. I am Big Husky, and this week I am joined by someone other than my normal co-host. This week I'm joined by
Jagger. Hi.
Jagger's there. Hi, Jagger.
Hi.
Hi. So Jagger, I've had come on a couple times when I want to talk more nerdy aspects of Magic, and it's funny because I was recently talking to DeNutte about this, and I said, hey, is it okay? And he's like, this is your thing, dude. I'm just kind of here. I was like, nah, I'm always gonna run it by you. I was like, is it okay? He's like, look, dude. He's like, I like Magic. Playing Magic is fun. Doing the reactions is fun. He's like, but when you want to nerd out on Magic, please go talk with Jagger. Like that sort of thing. So I was like, all right, fair, dude, fair. So
and now this is part of what I do in my everyday life at the card shop. So
exactly. So for the people that don't fully know you or haven't seen when you have come on, tell them a little bit about yourself.
I am an ex-everything. I'm an ex-streamer, ex-DJ. I'm a current everything player. I play Magic the Gathering. I play Lorcana. I play One Piece and Union Arena. And I own a cards and gaming store in my state. I'm not going to give away my location. But, yeah, I own a card shop. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. But it's making me keep up with the standard practices of the game.
Boom.
And so I have much more formed opinions about upcoming sets for Magic specifically.
Ooh. So
Yeah.
with that being said, Magic Con Vegas just happened, and they announced a lot of stuff. Luckily, 2025, my bank account is only going to take one massive hit. As of right now, one massive hit. That's Tarkir. No, Tarkir.
Oh, Tarkir. Okay.
Yeah, Tarkir is going to take a big chunk of my money. Outside of that, though, I'll be okay. But that is going to be... But there was there was technically two announcements, but one of them we can't really talk about because it was the UUD, the Unidentifiable Universes Beyond that they're not telling us about, which would be an interesting one to talk about. Let's be honest here, though. We already talked about how long we could talk about this stuff for. If we're now doing Unidentified Universes Beyond, a.k.a. any universe, y'all are going to be sitting here for 3 to 5 hours. Because we're just going to be going over every franchise, every IP, how they could make it, how it would work, how it wouldn't work.
I have my theory of what they're doing, but we'll get there.
Okay. So, instead what we're going to talk about is the big one, which was the announcement of Spiderman. So before we even get into it, are you excited about Spiderman coming to Magic?
Okay, so here's my hot take. This is the one new set next year that I am looking forward to.
Ooh, okay. Okay.
So, kind of going through the announcement, Innistrad Remastered, obviously,
Yes.
I'm there. Like, Innistrad is it's the plane that I started playing Magic on. It is the plane that I've loved the most. I'm there for it. But it's a remastered set. Nothing crazy, nothing new with that. Aether Drift, I couldn't care less.
Yeah, don't
could not
really,
give two shits about Aether Drift.
really do not give two fucks about that one. Like,
Final Fantasy, I appreciate what they're doing. I think it's a great move for them. It is such a big franchise, and it is so good.
Exactly how I said it. I said I love that they're doing it. I'm glad that Final Fantasy is getting their Ducuppence. However, for me personally, I'm gonna buy a collector booster and be done with it.
Yeah, I'm excited to open stuff for the shop to sell. It's not something that I'm gonna collect for myself because I'm not a huge Final Fantasy person myself. But I think for the players at large, a lot of players that I talk to are into Final Fantasy, and there are a lot of Final Fantasy fans that are interested in the cards and the collectibles and that sort of thing. And I think because the Final Fantasy card game was not successful, I think this is going to be their chance to have something they can play with that they can really kind of like sink their teeth into. So I'm happy for them for that.
Yeah.
Now, leaning into this one, which is it's Tarkir right after.
Yeah, so it's Tarkir's second one. So it's going Aether Drift, Tarkir, then Final Fantasy. Then
So Tarkir, I'm excited for because I mean Tarkir is such a great plane.
I'm just mainly intrigued by the way that they announced it, because the way they announced it sounded very interesting, because it sounded like what they're doing is the first one happened with the cons, then Sarkon Vol went back in time, messed shit up, and then we got the dragon version of it, and it sounds like now we are going enough in forward in time to where the cons are starting to come back.
Yeah.
And there are new dragons, they said. And I just heard that, and I'm saying that, I'm like, that's intriguing, because I wasn't sure if they were going to do, like, the multiverse, clashing sort of thing. I actually like the idea of the cons coming back, and, like, they're almost being, like, a civil war, kind of sounds to an extent.
So my thought process with the way they're doing cons is I think they're going to use both cons and I keep forgetting the name of the space one.
Edge of Eternities.
Edge of Eternities.
Yep.
I think those two are going to be the Kickstarter cornerstones for our next major story arc.
Yes.
I think they set stuff in place with cons and Dragons of Tarkir, and they've laid little like crumbs here and there about story bits about wanting to get back to like Elder Dragon type stories.
Yes.
So I'm thinking this might be where they're like, okay, let's sow the seeds for a dragon focused story. And then let's bring back some main characters like Tezzeret, because where's he been since War of the Spark? He's been in the Eternities. The Blind Eternities is like somewhere we've never explored before, and I think that's going to be the start of our next story.
It's going to be interesting as well with that, because I think that that's a very unique aspect, because like I was saying to DeNutte when we were watching it, it's like, how the hell do you do green in space? And then as soon as I got done saying that, they showed a planet that was just a giant green planet with a green aura around it, and I was like, never mind. That's how you do it. I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if that's how they do the majority of the colors. Each color is represented by an entire planet. It was easy. So it's kind of cool.
So they call it space, but I don't think it's technically space like how we think of space. Yes. Like it's not outer space. Like the Blind Eternities is the space between the planes. Okay. So it's like if you think of the Omen paths that they opened up with the World Tree. They're roads, and if you fall off the road, you're in the Blind Eternities.
Interesting.
So I think what happened was, I believe the way they're explaining it is Tezzeret was between planes when the World Tree collapsed in, and he got stuck in the Blind Eternities, and he figured out how to manipulate the Blind Eternities. So I think he's going to start messing with the Omen paths and start connecting worlds that shouldn't be connected.
Interesting. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's where part of the death race starts, just as a random thing.
So I wanted to wait till later, but this kind of ties into like my theory on like what the Universes Beyond thing is. So I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to blend Omen paths with the Universes Beyond stuff. And with Tezzeret doing his thing with manipulating the Omen paths, I think the unnamed Universes Beyond set is going to be an actual like full Transformers set.
Oh, okay.
I think doing the Transformers in the Brothers War thing was a tester, and I think they realized with that and the popularity and price level of the secret layers that they did, I think they feel like they could do a full set, and they can. There's enough lore and enough stuff that they can do that they could do a full Transformer set.
Well, and it's funny that you say that, because that actually brings me straight into talking about Spider-Man with you saying it like that, because the interesting wording. So first off, with the announcement of Spider-Man, we know nothing.
Right.
We know nothing. However, the only thing we know is that it is a quote-unquote tentpole set. That's all they said. Because they said that every year from now on there will be 3 tentpole sets and 3 tentpole Universes Beyond sets. Which then brought up the question to me. It's like, okay, so what type of set is it? And this is where they said it brings us perfectly straight into Spider-Man. Because in my opinion, Spider-Man has one of 3 options. The Spider-Man set. I have my way I think it's going to work, but this is the beginning of us talking about Spider-Man now, basically. So Spider-Man can go one of 3 ways for a tentpole set for Universes Beyond, because I think all Universes Beyond sets from now on will be categorized into these 3 sets. This is the 3 types. Lord of the Rings, where it is a massive set. Massive set. Right, it can hold its own weight. It is a massive product. It is boom there. However, you need to have the IP. You need to have the things for it. I think when we get the first true Marvel set, that will be a Lord of the Rings style set.
I agree.
Then it goes to an Assassin's Creed set, which is a mini set where you still have collector boosters. You still have the regular sets, but then you also have what you could do instead of doing a starter kit. You could do 2 commander decks, like that sort of thing. Yeah. And then the third one, which is what I think this one will be, is I think this one is going to be just the traditional Universes Beyond 4 commander decks. And this is going to be our introduction into Marvel. So some of the cards in this will be specific just for Spider-Man, and then some of them we will be seeing later on, and like in a year, I think it's a year or 2 when we get the true Marvel set. But when we get the Marvel set, we will see some of these cards reprinted in that set because they're Marvel staples.
It's Marvel.
Yes.
So, I don't know that they're doing multiple Marvel things. I know they announced Marvel 2025.
So one of the things that I saw at one point was that there was multiple things they will be doing. Like, it wasn't just a one-off thing. It was going to be a multiple, which is interesting as well.
So I think with the way they've worded the teaser on the website, it says Spider-Man slings cards from across the Spider-Verse into your favorite decks. I think it's going to be a full set.
Okay.
If any one sub-universe within Marvel has the characters and the faction types, remember that wording, faction types.
Yep.
To do a full set dedicated to just them, it's Spider-Man.
Yes, I will agree with that.
And Spider-Man is canonically voted as the most popular superhero of all time.
Yes, it is.
Like, he is widely beloved by all people of all ages, of all minority groups.
I would say, just arguing off rip, if you look at all the Universe Beyonds just from titles alone, names alone, it's Lord of the Rings Spider-Man now.
Yes.
Because Spider-Man just holds that much weight.
Yes, very much so. So, my speculation for what they can do, and now this is me being extremely hopeful for Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro.
Yep.
I hope it's a full set. So here's how I'm thinking. I'm thinking this is going to be a full set because of when it comes out. It's out the middle of summer.
Yep.
I think the Unnamed Universes Beyond is going to be just 4 Commander decks.
Okay.
I think that one's going to be just Commander decks with collector boosters on the side. Like Doctor Who, like Warhammer, like Fallout.
Yep.
It's set in that time where they're going to bring out the Edge of Eternities, which is going to be a like staple set going into the end of the year. That's their Bloomburrow of this year.
Yep.
And then right after Universes Beyond, right before the holidays, 4 Commander decks, collector boosters, buy this, buy this, buy this. This is what you're getting your loved ones.
Yeah.
So what I think they can do with this one, I think they should make it a full set.
Okay.
There's enough characters and there's enough things. You can basically split it up by riding the high of Into the Spider-Verse, the movies. You can do a bunch of Spider Society cards, like Spider-Man 2099, Miles Morales, Spider-Gwen, Scarlet Spider, and they all have similar mechanics that work together. Then you have, like, the Symbiote family, Venom, Carnage, Null, Riot. Symbiotes have a similar mechanic that work together. So you're building symbiote decks. And you have like a Sinister Six faction. Doc Ock, Electro, Vulture, Rhino. They have street level style mechanics that work well together. You have like Kingpin and his people. Kingpin, Kraven, Chameleon. And they have their own kind of thing. Sort of like a Guilds of Ravnica type deal, where the different factions have different mechanics that work together and they have very similar feel. And you can build theme decks within the Spider-Man multiverse. Because Spider-Man itself has its own verse. I mean, the Spider-Verse became its own thing.
Yes.
So if they want it to be successful, they should do something like that. But let's be honest. We know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
They're going to do it like Assassin's Creed. And they're just going to print a ton of BS legendary creatures of all the named characters. They're going to have no synergies whatsoever with each other. And it's going to be, here are 50 new commanders you can build with no support cards. Good luck.
Correct.
That is my worry.
That's my worry too. I agree that it is a big enough thing where you could do your own set with it. However, I have a sneaky suspicion that's what Final Fantasy will be. I think Final Fantasy will be the bigger set of the year. But then at the same time, I think of it and I go, oh, Doctor Who is also a massively big lore thing, and they squeezed that shit into 4 Commander decks. So really, I'm leaning more towards the 4 Commander decks or an Assassin's Creed thing, because I agree with you that I do think this is an IP, this is a universe, this is something that can't hold its own weight. However, I'm thinking in the back of my mind, this is part of their big picture, because they just released the Secret Lair for Marvel, then they're going to release the Spider-Man, then they're going to release the Marvel set. So it's slowly leading into that big bang, we dominate everything now. And that's
I can see that.
Because I think that's where you're gonna slowly start seeing different, like, some of the abilities I think that we'll see. Because I have one major ability here that I think you'll dig.
Okay.
That I think will be a staple moving forward for Marvel, but it can hold its own weight outside of Marvel, which I think is kind of interesting. The way that I wrote it anyway.
Right.
But that's my thing. Is I think that this is going to either be a Assassin's Creed style set where it's like you said, shit ton of legendaries, a lot of
Yeah.
really cool cards. Instead of a starter kit, though, they're going to do 2 commander decks because they want to get that commander aspect into it.
Yeah, for sure. They want to feed off of the commander being still the most popular format.
And so I think it's that, or I think, like I said, or I think it's just going to be the the traditional 4 commanders, collector boosters, and then we're going to get cards in there that we will be seeing later on in the future, just in Marvel itself. So there will be cards that will be specific to just this Spider-Man set, but there will be cards that will be reprinted. So like I could see like a Aunt May being like a reprinted card later, like something like that. Not like this version of Spider-Man being reprinted again. Just a different version of some of the other supporting characters, or like if web shooters are like an attachment or like an equipment card, that being reprinted later, stuff like that.
Or like I could see them doing like an aura card, like an enchantment aura, great power, great responsibility.
Exactly.
It's like a flip enchantment. That'd be cool.
Yeah, like if they did like locations as well.
Yeah.
Like that sort of thing.
You can easily rebrand locations as.
And that's one of the things that I think. That's what I think they're gonna do. I think that this is. I think it both ways. I think it's a smart way of looking at this because it is the introduction into them doing Marvel. However, though, at the same time, it is Spider-Man. You don't need this to be the introduction into anything, right? So that's my thing. Is like I'm seeing it both ways. But I do have 4 ideas for commander decks because let's be honest here, that's Magic at this point.
Yeah, Magic is commander at this point.
Anytime you see anything of people talking about like here's the new cards for the new here's the brand new cards coming from Foundations. You don't hear that. What you hear is this. Yeah. Here's 3 popular new commander cards coming in Foundations.
I'm
sitting there like, bro, I don't give 2 shits. Like just show me the cards. Like
So I have one last like opinion on like how they should do it versus how they would do it. I think with that, so they received negative backlash when they announced the first thing they announced with Marvel was the secret layers. Yes. Everyone was like, y'all hyped up this big collab with Marvel and we're just getting 5 secret layers. What is this? They got a lot of backlash for that. And then the next day they did the big panel and they announced Spider-Man. So everyone's like, okay, cool, we're actually getting a set. I think if they went the 4 commander deck route, I think it would be a huge mistake.
Yes,
I think you were going to turn off a lot of people who were hopeful for the Marvel collab, and you're going to turn off a lot of people who are like, why are y'all doing so much Universes Beyond stuff? I think the smartest move for them would be, because Final Fantasy is definitely going to be, because I know for a fact that it's a big set because of game store stuff.
Yep.
Because like we get all the notifications when Ultra Pro puts out their stuff. So we have to pre-order it ahead of time. So I know that there's like 57 different playmats.
I was gonna say you can kind of see the difference between, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can dictate the size of a set based on the peripherals that Ultra Pro is making. Ultra Pro is releasing 57 different playmats for Final Fantasy alone.
That is insane.
It's insane.
Makes sense, but it makes
sense.
It is insane.
Final Fantasy has 16 plus games plus an online MMO. And that's not counting their spin-off games or sequels. The 16 individual numbered games.
That's wild.
It's insanity, and like to do it in one set is wild. Like it's a bigger universe than Middle Earth.
That's what I'm saying. Like if it isn't,
it has to be the big one.
If it isn't a Lord of the Rings style full set, I don't understand at this point.
Like, right, exactly. So yes, I agree. I didn't even think that at first when I was like formulating my thoughts with Spider-Man. So I think it's going to go in descending order. I think it's going to be Final Fantasy is the big one. Spider-Man is the Assassin's Creed size, where we get like Beyond boosters, and then some sort of associated product with which I think 2 commander decks would be smart. Do like the Spider People and the Symbiotes, or the Spider People and the Sinister Six, or something like that.
Yeah.
And then whatever the unannounced one is going to be 4 commander decks.
Yeah, I could see that.
I think would be smart because while Spider-Man is sort of just like a peek behind the curtain with Marvel, it is their biggest property. And I think their smart move, which again they don't always do, you do Spider-Man as a tentpole set where it's just Beyond boosters, an associating product, 2 commander decks, even if it's a starter kit, whatever. And then when they bang the hammer on a full Marvel set, it needs to be Secret Wars.
Okay.
It is their biggest event ever in the history of Marvel. They've redone it how many different times?
Yeah.
It brings in all the characters to a cohesive story. You could even do it in 2 blocks if you wanted to.
Well,
bring back the nostalgia for players. You do Secret Wars Part 1 and Secret Wars Part 2, and you split the characters up. You could do like a hero side and a villain side.
Mm-hmm. Well,
There's so many cool ways you could market it, and you're still milking money, and you're making nerds happy because it's like thematic and cool. And I know they're not going to do it. I'm going to be upset.
I'm wondering if it's going to be one of those things where they do, because like I said, from what I remember when they first announced Marvel, it was going to be multiple things. It wasn't just a one-off. It was going to be multiple things. So let's just already say we already got 2, right, with Secret Lair and this one. If it's multiple, let's just say 2 more. If they're going to do 2 more, I mean, if they're doing a big set, they could do it. I think they do it one of 2 ways. Either one, like what you said, massive storyline, Secret Wars, and makes sense. I think it's either that, or it's just here are the characters, boom.
Yeah.
Which would be kind of lame.
It would be very lame.
But, and then the next way it could do it is they could do both. They could do, here's the characters, wait 2 years, here's Secret Wars. Or, like, I mean, because what? I mean, outside of Marvel, if we go Spider-Man, then we do Marvel. If we try to do another big Marvel thing, it would have to be X-Men, right?
So I think what they could do if they really wanted to milk it, and I think I think with them doing a Marvel collab, I think they should milk it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can do semi-smaller things every couple of years, or like alternate. So like you do Spider-Man this year, and then next year, so like 2025 you do Spider-Man as like an Assassin's Creed size set.
Yeah.
And then the next year you do Infinity War. Let's say that.
Yeah.
Thanos is the big villain of this set. You do a full-scale Lord of the Rings style set. And then the next year you do X-Men.
And X-Men's just 4 Commander decks. Boom.
X-Men's 4 Commander decks. You're good to go.
Yeah.
The next year you do another tentpole style set like Spider-Man, but you do the Avengers.
Okay.
And then after that, you do another big set. You do Secret Wars.
I do like. I like the idea, but I hate to say it. I do think this is going to be a yearly thing for the next couple of years.
So too.
I think every single year we're going to see a Marvel property in Magic.
Yeah, and that's fine. I think they're moving away from their individual storytelling because I think Magic is sort of getting stale in that because there's only so much you can do with their characters. And I think they've exhausted a lot of the really big wow factor type things. I mean, we've done Cataclysm, we've done the Brothers War, we've done Nicol Bolas to death.
We've done Phyrexians.
We did the Praetors forever. And it's like, now what do? Like, you've already exhausted turning Planeswalkers evil. You've already done
desparking them and now having an entire desparking them and then having an entire set based around resparking one of them, because that's what Aether Drift is going to be. I don't know if you knew that one or not.
I didn't know that.
So
I didn't know it was a respark.
So Aether Drift's whole thing is that at the end of it you win this chalice, and this chalice is like the chalice is a planeswalker thing. It gives you back your spark. And then they announced when they were announcing the cards, because from now on there will be one card from every single set. There will be a serialized 1 of 500 or 2 of 500 or whatever. But it will be a special brand new one. So like the first one was Edgar Markov. Did you see that one where it looks?
Yeah, I saw that one.
So there's that. There's a legendary artifact planeswalker equipment. And that is the Aether Vial. And that is
I saw that one.
So that is the thing that will give you back your spark. And that is a planeswalker card.
So my guess for that, I know we're kind of getting off the topic of Spider-Man, but my guess for that is the whole story is going to revolve around...
it's Chandra trying to get it for...
Chandra's getting it for Nissa.
Yep. That's literally it. That's 100% it. Like,
that's 100% what they're doing.
Yeah. Like, so it's... But
which it's fine. It's fine. It really is. But it's like we're as Magic players and Magic story fans, we're getting bored of the whole.
So
these are planeswalkers. They have their spark, and they don't have their spark. Now let's get their sparks back. Now let's lose their sparks again.
This is one of the things that you and me have talked about, not on a podcast or anything, but we've just talked about. This is why I think blocks were important, because blocks kept a story going and made stories important.
Well, it also...
I would argue that there's a vast majority of players that play Magic the Gathering that don't realize that there is a story being told.
Well, that's the thing. So I talked to a couple players. Like I was actually talking today. We were at a con. We were vending. One of our regulars was up, and they were asking about like all the different product that came out, and if we knew what product was coming out next year. And I was like, yeah, we're getting this, and this. And they're like, why does Magic rush through products so much? Because I mean, like, think of this year, right?
Oh,
So we
God.
started out with Ravnica Remastered,
Yep.
went straight into Fallout,
Yep.
which is fine. Like, they were two totally unconnected things. They were just products to get out, whatever. And then story-wise, Outlaws of Thunder Junction was kind of a flop. And then we didn't spend any time developing Thunder Junction as a plane at all.
No.
Like, within the story. Like, from there, we were just kind of off into nowhere. And then right after it, it was straight into, oh God, what was after Thunder Junction? Was it Modern Horizons 3?
It may have been Modern Horizons 3, because, let's see here, I have... You know what, it was Modern Horizons 3 and Assassin's Creed.
That's right, Assassin's Creed was first. So Assassin's Creed, then Modern Horizons 3. And that's where a lot of the big hype was everyone was hyping up, oh, they're doing Assassin's Creed. So they spent time developing the spoiler season for that and Modern Horizons 3. We got that. We sat on that for a bit. Then it was Bloomborough, Duskmorn, end of year. We're done. Everyone was so excited for Bloomborough. You had like a week and a half to enjoy it. And then it's like, okay, time for Duskmorn.
Okay, so here's...
We're going to milk that the rest of the year.
So we had Remastered, Ravnica Remastered.
Yep.
It just shows you how much, you know, like you said, we're just going through them. Murders at Karlov Manor.
Yep.
Then Fallout, Thunder Junction, Modern Horizons, Assassin's Creed, Bloomborough, Duskborn.
Yeah.
And just by the way, so I just listed off, what's that, 6, 8? That's 8 titles. That's 3 quarters.
And we still have 2 months left in the year, and there's
still Foundations.
There's Foundations, but I mean, meh. It's a core set. That's all it is.
Yeah.
But like the thing is like people were complaining because it's like Bloomborough was super loved and super well executed. It was a wonderful set. It was a wonderful plane. I have zero clue what happened on that plane.
I have so many thoughts for Bloomborough, but that's a topic for another day. Because Jesus,
so widely among the fan base, people loved Bloomborough. They loved the style of cards. They loved the way the plane was. It felt fun. It was whimsical, and it was Magic at its best. And you got to enjoy it for like 2 weeks, and then you had to start preparing and saving your money for Duskmorn.
And I just talked to someone recently about that because they just posted that they got the Nightmare bundle.
Yeah.
And
overpriced, overhyped Nightmare bundle.
And someone was like, "Oh, that's really cool." And I was like, "Did you get any good cards or anything?" And he's like, "I don't really think so." He's like, "Honestly, I don't know though." He's like, "Is there anything anyone's really looking for in this?" And I was like, "Honestly, I don't know, because the new cycle of Magic now is new set comes out, previews come out, get really hyped for 2 weeks, new set hype happens, and that's the new trend." And I don't. So, but.
And like I know they're getting to a point where like the sets that they're coming out with, they know that not everybody's going to be into everything. So it's pump all the stuff out so that the people can get hyped for what they want to get hyped for.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to move from being hyped for Innistrad Remastered to being hyped for other people being hyped for Final Fantasy to me being hyped for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And then for me being disappointed in Spider-Man.
The natural
I'm preemptively there. I'm preemptively at the disappointment stage for Spider-Man because I know it's not going to be what I want it to be.
Well, that's where I'm kind of at right now for Tark here. Is I've switched between I'm really excited I'm going to buy a collector booster bundle like box and I might not buy anything. Like that's sort of like I'm so that right now. But okay, so Spider-Man though, I had 4 ideas for decks.
Okay,
so. Of course, let's start with the basic, the basic of all of them, just Spider-Man. Yeah. It's just Spider-Man deck. It's all the good guys. It's all this. So my idea is red-blue.
Just red-blue?
Red-blue. I think red-blue fits Spidey and Friends because, in my opinion, I think the red-blue fits well because I like the idea of blue for control. Because Spider-Man, a lot of his stuff is control. Like it's the web base. It's just controlling. It's pinning people down. However, the red though, being able to fling attacks at people.
It's very fast.
Exactly.
Very agile.
So I thought that would work well.
So I would argue red, blue, green.
Okay.
Because Peter Parker being a scientist, it's a lot of like adaptation, evolution, growth. DNA manipulation. So if you're going to do Spider-Man, I think you should add green.
Okay.
For sure.
Right. I dig it. But that was my idea because then like you can do like Aunt May, you can do, Gwen, you can do, because no matter what, we're going to have humans in this. This is one of the things I think people also need to realize is, like, we're going to have humans in it. In Assassin's Creed, we had Desmond. In Assassin's Creed, we had the two nerds behind the desk that no one likes that, were just kind of there in every game that no one cared about. They're in the set. We're going to have those people. Like, I want J. Jonah Jameson in the set. I want J. Jonah Jameson. I just want to be able to yell at people as J. Jonah Jameson.
You know what I really want? I think if they do a J. Jonah Jameson one, I think we need to have a Pictures of Spider-Man card.
Ooh, that would be hilarious.
Like, get me pictures of Spider-Man. I want that as like an instant or a sorcery or something.
That would be hilarious.
And make it like a tutor for spider people or something.
Ooh, yeah, I dig it.
It'd be so good.
I dig it. But so that's my first one. Like, some of these are more involved and in depth. And then other ones are just like for instance, like that's all I've written for Spider-Man. Spider-Man is red blue, Spider-Man and friends, and it's a control style deck. Because I always see Spider-Man as more of the control, like I'm just gonna control the situation versus other things, right?
Yes. Very much so.
That's how I thought of it. Originally I was like white blue, and then I'm like,
no.
Let's move that out from right now. So let's stick with Spider-Man though, and now let's go into the Spider-Verse style deck. It has to be 5 colors. I find it hard to. I think you would do best if you did 5.
If you did Spider-Verse, who would helm the Spider-Verse deck? Would it be Spider-Man?
I don't think it would be Spider-Man. Now I could be wrong about this. Isn't there a overarching spider person that like does everything? Now is it Madam Web that does that?
Canonically Madam Web she's at the helm of the Great Web, so she sees all the strands of the Great Web, which connects all the spider people. So I mean, I would do Madam Web, and honestly, if we were doing an Into the Spider-Verse, are you focusing on like the Spider Society where it's like Miles Morales 2099, Spider-Woman?
The main thing differentiating between the two is like the Spider-Man deck is like the basic of Spider-Man, like that sort of thing.
Whereas you're thinking like street level city Spider-Man.
Exactly. Whereas this one is more of Miles could even go into the regular Spider-Man deck was one of the things I was thinking as well. But like in this one, 99, Scarlet, Punk, the one with the mech, Black Noir Spider-Man, like that sort of all of the alternative outlook ones that we all now know and love because of the Into the Spider-Verse movies in a deck.
So I think you could do 5 color for that one, but I think if you realistically wanted to sell it to people, I would do 5 color or I would do non-black.
Yes.
So 4 color, no black.
Okay. I could mess with that.
Because then, like, for me, like, I like the Spider-Man idea. I think my friendly neighborhood Spider-Man deck would be red, blue, green. Do Madam Web as the Great Web deck. Do it 4 color, non-black, and then do a mono black symbiote deck.
So that's the next one that I have. Okay. And this is the big one. This is the one that I think you're gonna be excited for because this is my idea. Because whenever you see them do a Universes Beyond, right, they always have like their own unique twist on something. So this is my thing. So symbiote is mono black. So the entire deck is mono black. So for instance, for 2 mana, for let's just say colorless and a black, you play Eddie Brock. Eddie Brock is a 1/2, has Investigate, and there he is.
Okay.
Now, you put a symbiote counter on him.
Okay.
Eddie Brock now turns into Venom, so he flips to Venom. So the backside of the card is Venom. Now, Venom is a 0/0, because the symbiote counter is a 1/1 counter.
Okay.
Now, this is where it gets fun. Do you remember when they had the level system in Magic?
Yeah.
So put the level system but as symbiote counters. So the bigger you level up the symbiote on the character, the bigger and the better it gets. So then you have 3 levels on every one. So then that way you can, because like isn't there a symbiote that's like super fast?
Yeah.
1 symbiote counter, it has haste. Final level of symbiotes, whatever you want to make it, it has double strike. You can add the little flavor of each separate color, which the symbiotes are, in the keywords with the symbiote counters. So now this is what separates symbiote counters from other things, though. So symbiote counters are 1/1 counters, right? So let's say you have a Venom with 5 counters on it. So it is a 5/5. You attack me. I block with my 4/4. You take 4 damage. That means you lose 4 symbiote counters. So now it goes back to a level 1. So the symbiote. So the idea of the entire deck is the symbiote counters themselves, and it would work outside of Spider-Man because you can put 1/1 counters on anything, but as soon as they take damage, they lose the counters first.
Right. So I like the idea. I think it's really cool and innovative, but I don't think Wizards would ever implement it. I think if they were gonna, I think what they're gonna do if they do a symbiote deck, they're just gonna make it a mutate deck. Which I hate. I absolutely hate it. I think it's gross, but it's the cop-out, and it's the easiest thing they can do.
I hate you say so much. I was trying to think, like, because, like, my thing was, like, I'm sitting there, and it's like, I'm on the bike, I was just voice recording to myself, and I'm sitting there just trying to think of ideas, and I was like, it would be cool if you could do a way so that it works, because, like, that's the big thing, right, is it's like, Eddie Brock is just Eddie Brock, but as soon as Eddie Brock gets the symbiote, then he becomes something else, and every symbiote, and I could be wrong with this, gets stronger kind of the longer it's in the host, or like the more it like evolves, or right. So that was why I was like, if there was a level system, and I was like, shit, there was a level system, and I was like, but I don't want a level system that you can just pay mana to, because that's why I thought the idea of a symbiote counter would be cool, because
so here's my idea.
Okay.
So I have an idea on how you do the symbiotes really well. You make them equipment.
That was the other thing I was thinking.
So you basically, because you think about it, a lot of the main symbiotes have had multiple hosts. You do. So I say you do a mono black or black red symbiote deck. You make Null the commander.
Okay.
You make the king in black the commander. You put all symbiote human hosts in as characters. Eddie Brock, Cletus Cassidy, Matt Gargan, Harry Osborn, Norman Osborn, and then you make the symbiotes, like the Carnage symbiote, the Grendel symbiote, the Venom symbiote, Anti-Venom symbiote. You make those all equipments, but you give them living weapon.
Oh, okay.
So they can be their own. They can be their own thing, or you can attach them.
Interesting. Okay.
To the different hosts.
Okay, I dig that as well.
But then what you do is you give the host characters, like Eddie Brock, give them partner with.
Oh, okay.
So Eddie Brock partner with Venom symbiote. When you play Eddie Brock, you search your deck for the Venom symbiote, and then you can attach the Venom symbiote to Eddie Brock.
Interesting.
So you give the Venom symbiote living weapon, and then you give it a discount, give it a 0 cost equip to Eddie Brock only. You could equip it to Cletus Cassidy if you wanted to, but you have to pay its regular equip cost. But then you could take the symbiotes and put them in anything.
True. See, that's
it makes more sense to equip them to their regular host because it equips for free.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I dig both of those. I think that's both. Yeah. Both of those.
I love the symbiote counter idea, but I think for the player base, I think the players will think it's too confusing, and I don't think Wizards will do it.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, I definitely think like it's one of those things where it would be something that would be unique to the set of Magic. All right, well, not Magic, to Marvel. Be unique to the set of Marvel. However, it can be affected in other things because, like, what timey-wimey. There's there's one from Warhammer. Like the one with the.
There's a lot from Warhammer.
I'm thinking of the one with the Space Marines, where like it's like the squad where you pay it multiple times and you can just make multiple counters, which they've kind of done now.
Oh yeah.
But like that was my thing. Was like I was trying to think of something that would be unique and different to this, but then also be able to go over. Plus, also I really liked the old school level thing. I thought it was a unique take on evolving a character. So I was like,
I loved the level system, but a lot of people didn't.
Yes, and that's
like
the
vast majority didn't like it.
But like that was because I was thinking as well. I was like, if I just level up this character, it's going to be too strong. Like you could just level them up and it's just game over. So that's why like the deck would revolve around having cards where it's like the ring tempts us. Add a symbiote counter instead of a mass 1. Add a symbiote counter, and that was my thing. And like I thought it'd be kind of cool because then you could do different versions. This is Eddie Brock. This is Eddie Brock the da, which then he turns into Venom the da versus just regular Venom, or and changing leaving it mono black, but when you flip it, the card art, not the card art, but like the background art changes color. So it's a black card, but it has a red background. So it's like, that's weird, but it's Carnage, so it makes sense. And then it's like, okay, what's Carnage do? Carnage does this. Well, what ability does that fit well with?
Which version of Carnage is this? Like, is this base level Carnage? Is this Ultimate Carnage? Is this Extreme Carnage?
And I thought, and that was my thing, was like, I thought it would allow for the multiple legendary aspect characters, but then being able to use them as the base human form.
Yeah.
Right? Because then the other thing I was thinking of is, it's like, okay, well, if you lose all the counters and it becomes a 0-0, do you just lose Venom? And then I'm sitting there, and it's
You
like,
can.
I was like, you can. I was like, what would be more interesting though, and it would make more sense in the grand scheme of things, is it flips back to Eddie. Because you have to kill the host.
Yeah, you flip back to Eddie, and then the Venom symbiote would leave, because, I mean, canonically that's happened I don't know how many different times.
Right.
Because, like, even currently, I don't think Eddie has Venom.
So that was my thing, is it's like, if all the counters go off the character, then you have to flip him back, because you have to kill the host to be able to kill the symbiotes. But then it's that thing of, it's like, how can you keep a deck with symbiote counters like that going to where it's like, you can play long game, short game, and mid game? Because eventually...
You couldn't. I don't think you could do the counter manipulation that well in mono black. I think in order to make that work, you would need to make it into like black, blue, green, or black, green at the least.
And that's the thing, is like, that's why I was like, it would be interesting, because like you would have to basically find ways to, you would have to make new cards and new mechanics for it. But that was
it would force them to break the color pie, which would be good for them because they don't do it very often. When they do, it's really good for the format.
And that was my thing, is it's like, if we're gonna break something, symbiote's the time to break it.
Yeah, for sure.
And then of course the final one is Sinister Six.
Yeah, if they don't do a Sinister Six deck, they're fucking.
But now this is the question that I have is, one, would you agree that a Sinister Six deck would have either Doc Ock or Kingpin as the main commander?
Well, Kingpin is not in the Sinister Six.
Yeah,
so
I was just thinking.
Be in it.
I was just thinking more of just Kingpin being them doing it as Magic, kind of taking their own little like hand in it and being like, oh no, Kingpin's the one who set it up. He doesn't run it. He's not one of the six, but he's the one that fronts it, and he's the one that puts the money into it, like that sort of a thing.
Right.
To give their own little twist on it, right? Because then they can add Kingpin, they can make it a part of it. Because I'm mainly thinking Doc Ock, but that was just a secondary.
So if you did it faithful to comics, Doc Ock is the original contractor of the Sinister Six.
Okay.
So Doc Ock, he escapes prison and contacts all of Spider-Man's worst villains. The original Sinister Six was Doc Ock, Electro, Kraven, Mysterio, Sandman, and Vulture.
Okay.
Which I think those legendaries would be great, and it would be really cool because you could basically revive the prey counters from Ikoria, and you could basically have hunt mechanics, because the whole idea with the Sinister Six is they are hunting down Spider-Man and setting traps for him, and that's where Kraven comes in.
Yeah.
You do like hunt and prey counters. You set traps and have illusions with Mysterio. Like Mysterio might make copies of himself that spread across the board, and you don't know which one's the real one, quote unquote. Or he manifests cards that you don't know what they are, and they flip into other things. Like, there's a lot of stuff they can do with the Sinister Six.
Yeah. So,
and I think if they decide to go with just 2 decks, I think they should do Amazing Spider-Man and Friends and Sinister Six.
Yeah. I think it would be very easy as well. It isn't because I think no matter what Sinister Six, they will have, for instance, like Rhino, Chameleon.
Yeah.
Some of the ones that aren't traditional Sinister Six, but it's Rhino and Chameleon. Like they're known. Like
they are staple characters in that universe. For sure.
If they don't do a symbiote Venom, sort of Venom would be in it, because it would just be So now this then becomes the next question: is would you do all colors? All 5, or would you do a 3-color wedge? Because I think either or would work very well.
So I think, are we talking if they're just doing 2?
So I'm just in general, just because my thing is this,
for the Sinister Six.
Yeah, for the Sinister Six, because I think that a 3-color wedge would be interesting. I think a 5-color would be interesting, because I think if you did 5-color, do Doc. This is my if you did Doc as colorless. And he has all 5 in his text, and then each member a different color of the 5, because then it makes sense for being this Sinister Six. Each one represents each baddie represents a certain color,
because there's technically 6 colors in Magic.
Yes, right. So that was my thing. Is like I like that idea, but then the 3-color wedge I think would make more sense because then there's more you can do with each one of the villains being 2 colors and finding a way to do what 3 colors works best if you break it down that way, sort of thing.
So I think if they do, I think the 5-color one is really cool, especially if they do 2. If they do 2 decks and they do like Spider-Man is red, green, blue, and the Sinister Six is 5-color. I think that'd be cool. I think if you did the 4 decks, though, I don't think you can make the Spider-Verse deck 5 colors anymore. I think you'd have to make it 4.
That was the thing that I was thinking. That's why I wrote all colors or 3 wedge, because I was like, you know. But I think I would agree though. My opinion of Into the Spider-Verse, take the black out. It makes more sense.
Yes, it makes more sense.
Yeah.
And then with the Sinister Six, I think if you did 3-color wedge, you would want to do green, red, black, and really hone in on the hunt mechanics. Bounty counters, prey counters, all those old school, like, I'm marking your characters for death kind of cards, and put that in, because that's what all those characters are known for. They're known for, like, stalking the people that they're trying to, like, stalking their prey, essentially, especially Kraven and Doc Ock and Vulture. Like, they mark targets, and then they go after those targets very specifically. They're not like the chaotic ones like Green Goblin that's just doing shit for the sake of doing shit.
Because, I mean, and that's the thing, is it's like, that's why it's interesting, because, like, with you saying Green Goblin, a Sinister Six deck technically wouldn't have Goblin in it. However, though, technically, kind of can't do Spider-Man without Goblin, to an extent. So it's one of those things where a Sinister Six deck really is just a villain deck. In the grand scheme of things. However, though, like, because, like, for instance, I just wrote down a couple names for 5-color, right? So, of course, I think Kraven has to be green.
At least green. Red, green would be preferable.
I think, and this one's going to be a unpopular one, but then when you think about it, Vulture's white.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, because it's
Vulture's basically a cyber angel. He's a glorified angel.
And then Mysterio obviously is blue.
Yes.
Those are the 3 that I wrote down, because those are the main 3 that I could always remember are normally always a part of it. So, and then and then if we're doing Electro Red, which would be kind of cool because all of his colors are blue and yellow, and then he's a red, like,
and green,
And then then it's just leaving out black at that point, which would be
I just had the names. Wow.
Because I can't even. So, Kraven, Mysterio, Vulture,
Electro,
Sandman. Sandman is black.
It doesn't make sense. So I think realistically what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
I think if they do. Okay, so here's the combination of what I want them to do and what would be smart.
Okay.
So do Spider-Man as a mini set, as a Beyond Boosters card set. Print the cards. Give us a teaser of, like, the mechanics they're going to use in the big Marvel sets.
Yes.
Give us 2 Commander decks. Give us Spidey and his amazing friends. And give us Kingpin and the villains.
Yes.
Make them both 5-color.
I would just say fuck it.
Just do 2 5-color decks. Put all the villains, all of Spider-Man's best villains in one deck. Just put all of Spider-Man's best allies and alternate versions. I mean, you can do all the different versions of Spider-Man in one deck. Scarlet Spider, Iron Spider. The Iron Spider armor is like an equipment. Amazing Spider-Man, Superior Spider-Man if you really want to. Miles Morales, Black Cat. Do all of them in his allies deck. So then it's villains versus allies.
Yeah.
Both 5-color. No one's fighting. You can make everyone multiple different colors, because then what you could do is you could just buy the 2 decks and you can split them up if you want to.
Yeah.
And then you could. I want to make a symbiote deck because the symbiotes, they do these things. And Venom is red, black, green. And I can make a mutate deck with Venom if I really want to. Like, give people options.
And then we disown you because we don't like mutate here.
I didn't mind mutate. You know what I would do? I would legitimately take the Venom symbiote and I would put it in a King Ghidorah deck, and I would make a symbiotic King Ghidorah, and I would throw it at your Patrick Star while it defends Optimus Prime. That's exactly what I would do.
The worst part is
That sentence sounds ridiculous, but a year from now, that is all possible.
Yeah, it really is.
It is all possible.
Oh yeah, well my Patrick, my Captain Picard shoots down your Sauron. Toot.
You forgot. I have Hatsune Miku on the field. You can't do anything.
Actually, Connecticut smash.
Connecticut smash. We're bringing My Hero Academia into this now.
Yep.
Where'd Deku come from? My sideboard.
Yeah, my sideboard. This card says I get to add one card from my multiverse into my hand. And now I play Pot of Greed.
See, and that is it's just where I feel that Magic as a whole is getting very ridiculous. As much as I want them to do cool and interesting things, and while this is interesting, I don't think it'll be cool. I think it's gonna get people excited. They're gonna do a mini set like they did with Assassin's Creed. People are gonna be upset. They're not gonna like it, and they're gonna just move on. And they're gonna have this like gut-wrenching feeling when the big Marvel set comes out. They're gonna be like, "Oh, here we go again. Wizards is gonna be Wizards," and they're gonna probably make something really cool, and no one's gonna want to get it at first.
And that's it's like because it's one of those things where like I didn't because I came back to Magic around Tarkir. I stayed through Tarkir. I played a little bit of Kaladesh. I started to play Amonkhet, and then I left again.
Okay.
Because of that
Amonkhet is where things started to get good again.
Yeah, I left right as Amonkhet started. Because that was when I went from having people to play with during Tarkir to not having anyone to play with. So I just stopped playing. And then I started playing again once I got on a stream and I got the PC.
Right.
And that's when I started getting back into it. So I missed a lot of the quote-unquote early beginnings of the Universes Beyond with the Walking Dead stuff, with the Stranger Things stuff. So for me, my first introduction to the Universes Beyond stuff was Warhammer. That was my first one that I remember.
So here's what's funny and bad about that. Not to interrupt you in that way, but like, it's sad that Universes Beyond has grown into what it is because Universes Beyond was legitimately an answer to Backlash. They started doing secret layers with IPs. So they did Stranger Things as a thing, and then they did Walking Dead, and then they said, oh yeah, these cards are new cards that are standard legal. They don't exist in the game now, but you can play them as commanders, and they're busted, but you can only get them for a limited time because of secret layers. So then they created the brand name Universes Beyond. And it's like, yes, they're legal, but they're in a universe all their own. They're not in Magic canon, but you can use them in Magic games.
Yes.
And that just opened the floodgate for them, like, we can do whatever we want with this now.
Well, that's
because
the thing,
it's Universes Beyond.
I remember when Warhammer came out, I was like, that's cool.
Yes.
I know a little bit about Warhammer from growing up in England, being around games, going to games workshops anytime I went to London, you know, and like seeing all the different stuff. I had some when I was a kid, but I didn't really know what the hell it was, sort of thing. So like I saw that and I was like, that's really cool. Yes. And then it slowly went on, and then as soon as I heard they did the Lord of the Rings one, obviously you know how that obsession now is kind of taken over, as I'm about to spend almost $100 on just Nazgul. Yeah, that deck's getting out of hand now. Let's just put it like that.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. Yeah, it's a good deck though.
So you know, Universe Beyond is a really cool concept idea. I hate the fact that they now announced that it will be equivalent to tentpole Magic, because now to me that means that they care more about other IPs than their own. That's how I took that announcement, because before it being like, here's 1 or 2 a year, it's kind of cool, have some fun, to now being like, oh no, we're gonna pull back on what we're doing with our own stuff so we can do other people's stuff. It's like,
so what it said to me was, we like money.
Exactly.
Buy more stuff. We don't care about your story. We don't care about your lore. Buy the cards. The cards are cool. They're broken. They break the format. Buy the cards before they get banned. And then sell them when they do get banned. That's what it said to me. And it hurts. As a longtime Magic player, I've been playing religiously since Innistrad dropped.
Yeah.
The original Innistrad came out, and I was in. My friends convinced me that the game was good. It was a good way to do it.
Whenever the beginnings of playing comes up, I always have to dust off the old
the old books. The old books were great.
The Magic Odyssey
The old stories were fantastic,
See,
and I
where's
mean
the
they have
days?
so much expansive lore. They have years of lore. I mean they could start
2001.
recycling lore. 2001.
2001.
I mean, this game's been going on since the 90s. There's so many characters that they've hinted at, dropped at. Like, I wouldn't even care if they did some BS, like another BS, like timey-wimey thing where it's like, oh, these characters are now stuck in the past. And this is the remnants of what happened after their brothers were and after the Cataclysm. Because we don't know what happened after the Cataclysm.
You know what I honestly would kind of like to have happen, and it's never going to happen, but you know what I would like to have happen? So, of course, we all know that there's the different planes now, and you can jump between them, and, like, you know, all of that fun junk when as soon as they started making planeswalkers, because they ran out of other ideas. What I would like to see happen is this, and I don't know when I would want to see it happen, but within the year or two, let's word it like that. I want, and I'm also going to word this just because it's now on my mind because I was playing the game earlier. I want a Fortnite end of Chapter 1 sequence. I want a everything ends. The screen goes black and there's just a white circle on the screen. That's what I want from Magic. And I think with the way it's going right now, they could do it.
I think they might be setting up to a universe reset.
I would love a universe reset, but, and this is how I'm going to word this, but I want one person to survive.
Who do you think would be the one person to survive?
Jace.
Ew.
It's Jace because it's always Jace, bro. He is really the villain in the grand scheme of things, in the grand story. I think it would be an interesting thing because what you could do is this is the way that I would do it too, is reset the whole thing, but have Jace survive. And Jace has knowledge of the other universe. So Jace now can monkey with things. So you can basically redo the entire Magic story, but change it. Because Jace is interfering, and Jace is monkeying with stuff.
Urza Saga Remastered, Jace's version.
Right? Think about it, though. Because I'm now thinking about it, like, with Odyssey. Because Odyssey, the whole story with that was Kamal getting into the pit fights to go get the Mirari. Yeah. Jason is there now, and Jason knows what the Mirari is, so Jason has now entered himself into the pit fights. And Kamal doesn't like that. And now you have Chainers changing. You have the changing of his sister, Jessica. You have all these different elements that you can just tweak and change, and by the time you get to where we are right now in the game, everything is different. Imagine if we don't get Brothers War, and instead we had both the brothers reconnecting and making an agreement. Because Jace,
you never get the Praetors.
You never get the Praetors. But what if the Praetors are still there, though? But they're different now. Because now that they weren't able to show up, you can change how the Praetors work. You can change how the Phyrexians look. See what I mean? You can change little major impactful moments in Magic history. Yeah. But when you do that, though, it now sparks everything out of fucking control.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's definitely a good way for them to kind of reset and recourse. I think they're kind of sowing the seeds for a way they could do it. I don't think they ever have the balls to do it though.
They would never do it because they would never have the balls to do it because it would be at the time that we talk about it, right?
Oh, all the pieces are there. I'm just connecting the dots. All the pieces are already there.
I'm telling you, dude.
Okay, hear me out. Let me follow this thread. You're right on the money with Jace. Jason Vraska.
Yep.
Jace now has all of his memories back. Vraska has none of hers. They're a couple. They're together.
Yep.
They go to Thunder Junction. They steal loot.
Yep.
Which is the key to everything.
Yep.
They enter into the Aether Drift race, give loot a spark, get lost in the blind eternities. They fight Tezzeret. Tezzeret steals loot as a planeswalker and resets the universe in his image. Imagine a universe reset in Tezzeret's image, and the only person that remembers it is Jace.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's all there. It's just
there, but they don't have the balls to do it.
And there's never anyone that's going to be from Wizards that watches this. But if you do, I just need someone to just put this in the ear of someone.
I'm sending this to my Wizards rep just so they can hear this part.
Dude, I'm like, so my thing is this:
I want them
like,
to do something risky like that because it would blow the mind of every Magic player.
This is the thing, because like I will tell you the main reason why they will not do it. Just the one simple main reason why they will not do it is because there will be people who are hardcore Magic lore stans who will say you have now ruined 30 years of Magic.
But
respectable response.
So here's the thing.
However,
like it's not ruining the lore.
How many times have we said "what if"? We said it. We said it before Johnny turned.
Yeah.
What if a Planeswalker turned into a Phyrexian? We had said that. That was a thing we said, and they did it.
They turned a ton of them into it, and it was cool.
What because it
was interesting and different. It was cool, and like I don't think doing a universe reset would ruin that much history. I think it would just kind of put a bookmark on this chapter of Magic. You cement it in time as what it is. You put it on the shelf. And now you start a sequel series.
Well, that's the thing,
Magic 2.
You know, I mean, honestly, you know what you could... Because, like, let's be honest here. Here we go. So this first 30 years of Magic is the Urza Saga.
Yeah.
The entire thing is now known as the Urza Saga. Because let's be honest here, the entire thing has been Urza's fault.
It's all fault.
So now
everything's.
So now you think of it and you go, okay, well, Urza technically Urza was the bad guy for the last 30 years, technically, if we think about it like that. So let's restart everything, and now Jace is the bad guy, and now we do the next. No, it doesn't have to be 30 years, obviously, but still, like I said, Jace reunites the brothers instead of there being a war. How does that change things? What if the Eldrazi and the Phyrexians met? And that was all part of Jace's plan to get the two big bads to fight each other.
Or
right?
What if Mishra won the war instead of Urza?
That's what I'm saying. There's so many different little things that you can do, and then it just changes. One stepping stone changes another stepping stone, changes another stepping stone. What if in Ravnica isn't the 10 guilds that we know?
Yeah.
What if Ravnica is just 5?
Or what if Ravnica doesn't have guilds at all? What if it's just ruled by one supreme Niv Mizzet?
Exactly. Like, see, there's so many. Like, you can basically turn an entire generation of Magic into a giant what if, and have it all being controlled by Jace, and have Jace's entire thing being like, I messed up, because that's where we're at right now. Is Jace is sitting there thinking like, I've messed up. I need to change everything. That's his whole mindset right now.
He has to fix what he broke.
And it's wild because he has loot.
Yep.
So now, of course, he's now going to go fix everything. But he doesn't realize how much that really means. Because now he is now fixing everything from the beginning. But that is changing and ruining so much more.
Yeah.
Imagine an Innistrad where the vampires and werewolves are united.
Yeah. Against the zombies and the resurrectionists.
Right, just all sorts of random what ifs that you can throw in there,
and it gives them leeway to revisit all these planes that they've been wanting to revisit, but they can't write into the story. And now you can rewrite their story, only just a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
And like you can rework old cards that don't fit into the story now, like Una, Queen of the Fae, doesn't exist in the story right now. You want to reprint her, you want a new version of her, just redo Lorwyn.
Yeah, I mean,
in a different way.
I mean, like. My favorite character in Magic is Kamal, the Pit Fighter.
Yeah.
He's been dead
years
since I moved to America, which is over 20 years ago. Still my favorite character and card in the entire Magic thing. Terrible card, but
he has good cards.
Yeah, when he's
Good-ish.
not. Yeah, when he's not the Pit Fighter though. It's like when he's now green.
Of Crosa.
Yeah, but my thing is like it's like because there's so many old things as well. Because like for instance, in Marcadian Masks era, there was the Rogues. I think it was Rogues anyway. I could be wrong. No, Rebels and Mercenaries, and it was the coolest two mechanics because if you think about it, Rebels, Mercenaries, kind of similar, but they made it white and black.
Yeah,
black ones, pay 4, tap it, find something that costs 4 or 3 or less. Rebels. Pay 4, look for something 5 or higher.
Oh.
They changed it just enough so they were different. Like, because I have a historic deck up there somewhere that is a mercenary deck. All the cards are from Mercadian's Masks and that era. So, like, that was my thing. It's like, it's little things like that. Like, imagine bringing back the Weatherlight, but changing the story so the characters aren't the same. Or the characters are different colors. Or, like, it just allows for a lot more creativity because now they can sit there and go, okay, this is how the story played out the first time. If we changed, or if this changed, how would this change the entire story?
Well, then, I think for the sake of the healthy longevity of the game, like, yeah, the game has lasted 30 years this long, but, like, the game is seeing a swift, and I mean a very, very swift decline in player base, especially in Standard. I mean, the entries in the Pro Tour were cut down by 20% this year. 20% in a year. Why? Not enough good cards in Standard. They're all milked for Commander. So think of this. The game has lasted this long because 90%, basically everything up until about 5 years ago, was all original content.
Yes.
No IPs, no Universes Beyond, a couple secret layers that were reskins of other characters in the first few years. That was fine. Then they get into the Universes Beyond BS, and I think it's spiraling out of control to the point where, like, we don't know what to write to fix our story. I think if they keep going down this path of 3 Universes Beyond sets and 3 original sets that have no connection, no story overlap. Oh, remember this character from back here? Yeah, that doesn't mean anything. Buy Spider-Man instead.
Yeah.
If they keep doing this, I think the game is going to die.
Yes.
Because I've had so many people come in, like, again, this is game store stuff. They come in, they bring in boxes or say, hey, I'm getting out of Magic. I'm going to play Lorcana now because the game is more fun. And the game is more welcoming to players rather than cash grabby. And I'm tired of Magic and the way it's going. And I'm like, totally understandable. We'll buy your cards. Somebody will buy them for sure. Like, we'll buy your cards from you.
Yeah.
But I've had so many people come in and they say, hey, what's the new set? When does it come out? I'm like, oh yeah, the next set comes out next week. They're like, we just got a new set like 3 weeks ago.
Oh, and that's how it felt with Bloomburrow. Bloomburrow dropped, and then you kind of got to like Bloomburrow. I mean, a set that you know for a fact.
You were extremely disappointed with it.
I was extremely disappointed with it, and I was very excited for the set, and I was extremely disappointed with it. But it didn't matter because, hey, guess what? Duskmourn comes out in 2 weeks. That's how it felt.
And I was disappointed with Duskmourn. You know how excited I was for Duskmourn.
Yeah. It's so, like, that's the thing is, like, and especially right now, it feels like they have I'll say it like this, an idea of a story. There probably is a story, but let's be real here. They probably have it, but they're just so involved
they're drip feeding it to us for the sake of feeding these IPs. I think it's a mistake.
If they did something like this, if they did a full-on just with Jace now telling the story and Jace controlling things, Jace changing things, if they did that, it would enable so much freedom for them because they could spend literally 2 years, the first 2 years, keep whatever slate you have right now for 2 years. Boom, boom. I don't care, right? Screw it. Do the entire set for Foundations.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's a 5-year block. So keep that set. As soon as Foundation ends, Jace.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, I was here. And then Jace starts changing things, and Jace starts doing that. It gives them 5 years to look at the entire 30 years of Magic and go, okay, at what major points do we want to change things? Because Jace has decided that he wants to change this.
Even if it's not Jace, even if it's one of those deals where it's like we've seen the story through, like, because for the first 30 years of Magic now, we've basically seen the story through the hero's eyes. Like, what if it's a Thanos situation? What if it's Tezzeret who resets the universe? And it's like, okay, my turn. This is my world. So we get way cooler villains, and things are running more rampant. And the Gatewatch never becomes a thing. Planeswalkers are no longer a thing. So like, how do you stop threats on other planes?
So the main reason why I keep bringing up Jace is because Jace is there going, boy.
Yeah, and I don't want him to be, and that's why I keep pivoting away from Jace.
So, but my thing,
but also because Jace and Tezzeret have been rivals forever.
Well, so this would be the interesting thing, would be to see it right going on and have it be one of those things where, let's say, for instance, it goes dark, it comes back, right? So hear me out, because I think your brain just connected to where mine went. So
I just had an aha moment, and if it's not where it is, I'll get there.
So
but go for it.
Jace is changing things, right? So the first thing I say is that he connects the brothers, right?
Mm-hmm.
They reunite. They're stronger now. Everything's stronger there. What if Tezzeret knows exactly what moments he's going to go to because they're linked? But Jace doesn't know this.
Right.
So Tezzeret sees that and goes, "Oh, okay, he's going to link them. Cool. I'm going to link these guys. So I'm going to change this behind the scenes."
Mm-hmm.
So while Jace is quote unquote fixing things, Tezzeret is making things even worse. Oh, Phyrexian Nicobolus? Why not?
Yeah, why not? Slivers connecting with Eldrazi? Sure. Let's put the two greatest scourges in the universe together.
That's what I'm saying. Is like, just imagine that bullshit that happens. Well, Jace is sitting there like, it's like, all right, cool, I'm doing my thing. This is awesome. This, that. Because then eventually you can get to what we thought was going to happen with All Will Be One. Where now it's like, Jace is like, okay, I fixed all of the things I needed to fix. And then Tezzeret suddenly then is in the back of his mind going, you thought you did.
Yeah.
And then the bad guys happen, but then they win. And then we have a couple years where it is literally just the bad guys have won.
Yeah. So the aha moment I had was they're kind of building back on this whole, like, let's focus on Jace, let's focus on Tezzeret.
Mm-hmm.
Jace versus Tezzeret is the new Brothers War. It's the new Brothers conflict. So instead of going back and fixing things in the timeline, it's a new timeline focused around those two brothers at odds with each other.
Interesting.
And then the story spirals back through the planes from their conflict. I think that would be neat.
That would be an interesting one to see.
Yeah. So like say you do the whole universe reset thing, but the only two that are left are Jace and Tezzeret, and their war in the Blind Eternities creates the new world of Magic through their conflict. It's remnants of the old planes, but they're very different.
Okay.
I think that would be neat too.
Whatever it is, like this might just be me being a quote unquote old head. I just want blocks back. I do too. I am so tired of us being on a world and then being gone. It doesn't bring me in, and it's. I'll put it like this: Brothers War, All Will Be One, March of the Machines. You know for a fact, I was very excited for that set.
It felt like a block. It was very different stories, but it felt like a story block.
It felt like a block. The thing I didn't like was, or actually no, I did to an extent, was they kept mechanics similar throughout the entire thing.
Yes.
I always look back to Tarkir, because Tarkir to me was and I will say this in all bold chest, and I was there for original Ravnica. Like I'm talking like I bought thousands of dollars worth of original Ravnica. Original Kamigawa. Like, I was there for all those. Ravnica is arguably, in my opinion, the best block we have ever gotten.
Ravnica or Tarkir?
Tarkir, sorry. Tarkir is one of the best blocks we have ever gotten. Because Tarkir did exactly what it needed to do. Tarkir said, here's a world. This is what the world is about.
Yep.
You understand that now. Cool. The second set, we're going to go back in time to when it the main thing that made it the way it is happened. That's the entire second block. The block is a smaller block. It's not that big. It's a small one, but it's still showing you things. And now the third block, this is what happens when we change it. And the abilities that you had in the first set tweaked just a little bit, but they're the exact same things. You went from oh god, what is the name of it? The Obzon one. Of course.
Are you thinking the mechanic name?
Yes.
I don't know the names of the mechanics from Tarkir. But yeah, I agree. I think that's the way you tell a story. And I call that
Outlast. You went from outlasting cons to then in Dragons, it's Bolster. The only difference being Bolster is the lowest toughness. Outlast is you tap it, and then it goes on this creature.
Yeah.
Very small change.
I consider that a whole era from like, and this may be biased because it's when I got into Magic. From Innistrad up until they started to revisit planes again. Like when they go to Shadows over Innistrad, I think that is the golden era for Magic. It really is. Because you got things like, you have 3 block sets. Innistrad, Dark Ascension, Avacyn Restored. Beginning, middle, end. That's how you tell a story.
Yep.
It takes that long to tell a story, especially when you're trying to do all these complex characters. Khans of Tarkir. Khans, Dragons, Fate Reforged. Perfect story. Wonderful. War of the Spark. Ravnica Allegiance, Ravnica Ascended, War of the Spark. 3-block story. Fantastic ending to an entire overarching thing with Nicol Bolas. Even some of the 2-block sets like Amonkhet and Hour of Devastation. Still good.
Yeah, I mean, you had Kaladesh, and then I can't remember the second one for Kaladesh.
Aether Revolt. That one was good as well.
Yeah.
But it's when you go to these 1-block sets where it's like Bloomburrow. No follow-up. Okay, Duskmourn. Or even still, Throne of Eldraine. No follow-up. 2 years later, let's go Wilds of Eldraine. You could have done Wilds of Eldraine right after Throne of Eldraine, and it would have made perfect sense.
Yeah.
We would have spent more time on Eldraine. We would have loved Eldraine even more than we already do, because Eldraine was a very widely loved plane. It was a very loved set. It still gets a lot of love. The only sets that I think that only need like the one and dones are like the D&D sets. The modern Horizons and the Master sets.
Yes.
Those are one and dones. These Universes Beyond sets give me 1 a year. 1 full set a year and 1 set of Commander decks a year. I'm fine with that. But bring back blocks. Let us spend some time to love these universes you're crafting, because like I loved the idea of Thunder Junction. I thought a Wild West set would have been great, but with it being a one and done and the story being kind of lackluster, it's like I didn't have time to love it. I didn't have time to get to know it. Like I needed at least 2 blocks.
I
liked for that.
I when I heard they were doing a Western set, I was like, that's dumb. I was like, it makes no sense, but I'm here for it. And then they did the debut video, and I don't know if you remember me immediately messaging you after I did my reaction to it.
Yeah.
But after I did it, it was like, this is the stupidest thing they've ever done.
Yes.
So this is where I would be at, right? So give me 3-block sets, and give me 2 sets in between. Beginning, random set. Middle, random set. End. And do every single year like that. Boom, boom, boom. Because then you get the best of both worlds. You get to tell a full Magic story throughout the entire year, which then builds the hype. You can build the anticipation. Because then you can kind of leave every set on a cliffhanger to an extent, too.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then you do your 2 big sets. You either do a like Lord of the Rings style set or an Assassin's Creed style set, and then you do a 4-deck Commander deck set. And then, of course, you can do, like the Modern Horizons, or I mean, screw it then. Do 3. So you do 1 random, 1 random, 1 random. So then that way, then you get that random ass, once a year thing. But if you did it like that, because it is one of those things where you do need time, and it also helps with the cards, because that's a big one for me. I'm a big tribal guy. I've always been a big tribal guy.
Yeah.
Give me a creature type or an ability, and I will have the best time of my life.
Right.
All the decks that I have on... I just got started making decks on Moxfield. I have about 50 decks. All of them are just concepts of just like creature types and like random abilities. That's all I want.
Yeah, that's definitely a rabbit hole, is the Moxfield.
Oh, yeah. So, like, Bloomburrow is the perfect example, in my opinion, of a thing that they did terribly wrong that was the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
Bloomburrow could have been a full block set all the way through, and that would have been the biggest selling set for them outside of Lord of the Rings.
100%.
And that's another thing, just as a side tangent real quick. They talk about how the price and, like, how, like, they made so much money recently with Magic. And then you look, and it's like, well, what's come out recently? Lord of the Rings came out.
Well, so they're boasting right now about how Magic's doing so well. All the money is coming from Bloomburrow alone. Because I can go on my distributor website right now. I can order any set from the year. I cannot get Bloomburrow. I can't get anything from Bloomburrow unless I go to TCG Player and spend double MSRP price for a booster pack. That's all I can get.
Yeah, nah.
Bloomburrow is sold out everywhere you go. You do not find it in the wild. You do not find it at game stores. You find it at conventions and resellers.
Yeah.
It was the most popular set of the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So here's how I would structure their yearly thing. and this is the old head in me.
Yeah.
I would kind of combine what they're doing now with what they used to do.
Okay.
Kick off the year, January.
Yep.
Do a remastered set.
Okay.
You take a beloved plane like they've been doing, Dominaria, Ravnica, Innistrad. I say do a Tarkir remastered, something like that. Yeah.
I would lose so much.
Kaladesh remastered, whatever. Something like that.
Yeah.
And then you could do, and for like all the random ones, do like a multiverse remastered thing where you take all the best cards from all the other ones that only got like 1 or 2 visits. Yeah, so like Amonkhet got 1 visit. Yeah. You could do an Amonkhet remastered though. There were a lot of good cards in that. Anyway, so you kick off the year with a remastered set. That's fine. I like the remastered sets. I think they're neat. You do a beginning of the year block. February, April, June.
Okay.
Story. Or, to condense it down to not overwhelm people with product, February, May.
Okay.
2 block sets. Part 1, part 2. Story's done. You do all your bullshit sets in the middle of summer. So May, you have your last like story-driven set. July, you give June off. July, you release like your master set, your Modern Horizons 4 or Triple Masters, Commander, Super Legends, whatever you want to do. July, September, you do your Universes Beyond. Then you do September, Universes Beyond. October, you start your new block. December, you finish it. And then you start the year over again. You give people a month in between to play with the cards and be ready for the next part of the story. And then you jam all the bullshit in the middle of summer when kids are off school and they have like, they're getting summer vacation stuff. And then you put all the story stuff right there before Christmas.
Yep.
You sell all that stuff in the holiday time. You could even throw in in the break months. You could throw in a Universes Beyond Commander set if you wanted to. If you really want to jam product down people's throat, they're still making money, but you were giving everybody best of both worlds. Yeah. Because even the 2 block sets like Kaladesh, Aether Revolt, Amonkhet, Hour of Destruction, those were still great stories. They were still great worlds. They were well crafted out. As much as I love the 3 block sets, I think with the type of products they have now, they can't afford to do 3 blocks. I think if they at least give us 2 block sets, they could still cram in their Spider-Mans, their Marvel, their Final Fantasy, their whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
IPs. Market the commander decks. Stop giving us commander decks for every set.
Yes.
Either give it to us in the Universes Beyond stuff where it's cool, or give us like 2. We don't need 4 new decks every set when there's a new set coming out every fucking month.
Yeah. I mean, and that's I wanted to quickly look because I like had a base idea, but I wanted to actually get the numbers, so I wasn't. But like, because as you know, love Magic, but I've been playing and buying and a part of the promotional product for Lorcana recently. So this last year I've been getting into Lorcana more. So I was like, I kind of just wanted to take a quick look at that. So Lorcana. As 6 sets out. By 6 sets, I mean the 6th one comes out in 2 weeks.
Yes.
But two were released in 2023. But that's mainly because it was the end of 2023 when they came out. August, November. Then this year, February, May, August, November. That's it. 4.
Yeah.
And I'm a part of a bunch of different groups on Facebook and stuff and Twitter so that I can easily like just go on and it would just show people commenting and saying stuff. It is funny seeing people in those communities saying how they feel overwhelmed with how fast products are coming out. And that's for
Lorcana?
For Lorcana. How people are saying that they are overwhelmed. Now remember, Lorcana being a brand new thing for Disney people basically, so you're getting a whole wide berth of brand new people that aren't used to TCGs.
Yeah.
Then it's like your reaction there is the exact reaction of every Magic player in the comments. It's just like dude, you don't even know.
You have no idea.
You have no idea.
And that's the thing. And like, and the thing is like, I made mention. I was talking with Zach, my business partner, today about like what our releases are for the next few months, and he was asking me about Union Arena, which is Bandai's new card game. Well, their newest one. Their new one comes out in a couple months. They have a new set releasing every month. but they're smaller sets. And they're universe focused sets. So the way, and this is kind of a tangent. So,
no. When you said one a month, my brain just broke for a moment. So go ahead.
So here's how it works. So when you're building decks in Union Arena, you don't build in color restrictions. You build in universe restrictions.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
So say you want to build a deck for Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah.
You build only Hunter x Hunter cards. You can't slot a Bleach card in there just because it shares a color type.
Interesting.
You build within universe. So each set is a new universe you can build in. It would be almost like if
it's
every month. It's almost like if they released a new commander every month, and the set that they released fits that commander.
It's kind of what I do with Magic to an extent anyway with certain things. Like for my Lord of the Rings deck, only have cards from Lord of the Rings in them.
Right. So that's how Union Arena is set up. So they started out their first release. They started with Bleach and Hunter x Hunter.
Yep.
Jujutsu Kaisen comes out this month.
Yep, I saw that one.
Code Geass comes out next month. Then it's Demon Slayer in January. One Punch Man in February, and then in April, or they're taking March off, and then in April they're doing Sword Art Online and Black Clover side by side.
I was gonna say, I feel like eventually they will have to take months off because
they will.
Like, I feel like they're gonna have to be stepping on Weiss Schwartz territory for after a little minute with some of the animes they might be wanting to go into.
I think what their plan is, and I think it's a smart plan. So I think the way they did it is they printed limited cards from these specific sets.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't print everything.
Oh, so to go back sort of thing?
So, like, Bleach, you get a lot of, like, the main cast characters. You get a couple of the side, like, the Soul Reaper captains, etc. So I think what they're going to do is they're going to do it in loops. So they're going to release all the ones that they want to do, and then it's going to be, like, Bleach 1000-Year Blood War Part 2.
Okay.
And you're going to get some of the Stern Ritters and Yuha and all them. And then with Hunter x Hunter, you might get some of the, what are they called? The Spider Tattoo people.
Oh, yeah, the 8.
Them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to start releasing, like, part 2s for all these different universes to,
that
like,
makes sense.
bolster those decks later down the road. And I think it's smart.
Yeah.
But, like, games like Lorcana and One Piece where they're like, we're going to release a set. And we're going to have a championship series to follow that set for, like, 3 months. And then we'll release another set. It's formulated. It's calculated. It doesn't burn people out with the new cards. It gives you time to settle into a meta.
Yes,
and that's when Magic was healthy, was when it had a meta. It doesn't have a meta anymore.
That's what I was going to say. Is I think that it's very healthy for the game because each Lorcana tournament that happens, because I don't watch all of them, but I have them on in the background. Yeah, and in most of them, you'd be. I mean, right now, Emerald Steel dominates across the board. Yes. But underneath that, though, there's about 30 different styles of decks that people are running. There was one that just came in third in Paris. There was like 90% of the cards were locations. Yeah. Like absolutely mind-boggling, like what they just did, and they came in third. Like, so it's wild to see other games health being what I would consider healthy, and then seeing Magic, which I feel like is very much struggling right now.
It is,
and trying to find its foothold in it, because like at Vegas, they announced all this. They announced that they're doing 6 titles this next year, and MSRP. You know what got the biggest? You know what got the biggest reaction out of everything? MSRP. And the funny thing is, right before that happened, they were going through like who the different people are, and I was like, I know everyone but this one dude. And the one dude that was the guy that was in control of collectibles, as they worded, collectibles. Yeah. And he was the one that announced MSRP. And that was the biggest pop from the entire crowd the entire day. Yeah. You announced Spider-Man and Final Fantasy, and the biggest pop is you telling people that the price of the game is going to be less, basically. Yeah.
It's going to be affordable to play again. Like, that's the thing. It evens out, though, because, like, now we're not paying aftermarket prices, but we're paying MSRP more times a year.
Yes.
You're actually spending more money if you want to stay current with the game and collect all the good cards, because they're going to make these cards cool and busted. Like, they're going to be dope. The sets overall might not be great, but there's always going to be 1 or 2 cards. Yep. There's always going to be that one ring or that Orcish Bowmasters or something crazy in each of these sets. It's like, I got to chase it. I got to chase it. Yeah. I'm not paying $200 for this card online. I got to buy the $5.99 pack that's MSRP because they're not going to upcharge it now. Exactly. I'm not going to have to pay $80 for a single pack of cards because MSRP is now a thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. So it's just like it's
Getting heated from this this conversation now.
yeah. And as we had said beforehand,
Mm-hmm.
we were able to just tangent on. So if we reel it back
Yeah.
to Spider-Man, let's put a nice little bow on this. I think we both have agreed Spider-Man, unfortunately, I'm going to word it like that, unfortunately, will be a mini set similar to Assassin's Creed.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to have beyond boosters,
Yay!
collector boosters. It's going to have either a starter kit or 2 commander decks. If they're smart, it's commanders. If they do starter kits, okay, I guess.
It's gonna be a starter kit. We
Yeah.
know them. They're gonna keep trying and shilling standard.
Well, that's the thing. Is
And
like
modern Pokemon.
I was talking about it when I did the most recent one, which would have been Bloomborough, because Bloomborough had a starter kit too. And I was saying that it was very odd that in the last year I have done 3 openings for Magic the Gathering starter kits, with Lord of the Rings, Assassin's Creed, and then that. I was like, it's very odd that there's been 3 starter kits within a single year period.
Well, to be fair, the Lord of the Rings one you were behind the curve on.
Yes.
Lord of the Rings was like a year and a half ago.
Yeah. But so I think we can both agree with that. And then if they do commanders, it's either going to be 2, it's going to be Spider-Man and friends, and it's going to be bad guys, or if they do 4, it's going to be some sort of bad guys, Spider-Verse, just Spider-Man and allies, and then symbiote / Venom verse.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we're looking at right now for Spider-Man and Magic the Gathering. I still my final statement to the whole thing is that I do believe this is unfortunately just going to be seen by Wizards as the introduction to Marvel. I think
you're right.
I think that the secret layer is the soft open. This is then the introduction, and then when we get it, we're going to see a lot of these cards reprinted in the big Marvel set.
I don't think they'll reprint it. I think they're going to expand on it and do. I think they'll probably do a reprint of one of the Spider-Men, and if one of the major villains fits into whatever story they're doing with it, unless it's just going to be one of those things where it's like, let's just print as many of the characters as possible so we can add even more commanders.
Yeah.
Because I was looking it up, and like just this year alone, there's like 400 plus new commanders. 400 new legendary creatures were printed this year.
I mean, 100 of them were from Assassin's Creed.
Exactly, and it's going to be even worse with Marvel because of how many different characters they have.
Yeah.
If you do one for even all the major heroes, that's like 200 right there.
And that's one of those things. Like I've been back into Magic, like actually collecting and playing now. I'd say for the last year. I'll put a last year on it, and I'm still overwhelmed by Commander.
It's a lot.
I'm overwhelmed by Commander, but if you tell me to make a modern historic standard deck, you know I'm done with that in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's done. I know how to do it. It's like the back of my hand. Bing, bang, boom, done. But as soon as it's Commander, my brain just fizzles out, and you know.
Because then you're like, okay, I'm making, like, in your instance, like, I'm gonna make a squirrel deck. Shadowstorm's good. I should put 4 of these in there, and then like, nope, you can't. You got to find other cards that do the same thing but are different names.
Exactly. So it's
some people can't crash their brain around it, and I'm getting to the point now where I'm like, I'm not building new stuff because of that. And I'm slowly shifting away from even playing Magic. Like, I am a huge Magic advocate, and I have been for years. But I find myself wanting to play things like One Piece, Lorcana, Union Arena more.
Yes.
Like, I'm more excited to teach people how to play those games because they're new, they're easier to get into, they're more accessible, they're fun, they're different. Like, some of them are, sometimes it gets a little complicated, but like, I'm more excited for that stuff than I am for
well, I mean,
stuff.
and it's like, you know, like I said, to wrap up, but with Magic we have crewing, we have riding, we have another version of it too. There's like 7 different keywords that literally mean the exact same thing,
What are you talking about? Every mechanic that you pay for in Magic is kicker.
Yes.
It's
kicker,
all just
but
kicker
with
with extra steps.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is it's like, that's the problem. Is that we've now run into that where, like, for instance, my biggest problem with Outlaw is the Thunder Junction. What's an outlaw? Oh, it's 7 creature types I now need to know. And if I don't play Outlaws of Thunder Junction, which, by the way, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna know. So people can just lie to me and be like, "Oh, this cute little raccoon. Yeah, that's an outlaw." And I'll be like, "Sure, send it." Like,
because it's a rogue, it's an outlaw.
Yeah. You know, like, honestly, I would just be like, "Cool, okay." I would have no idea. Like,
yeah.
Instead of just putting it on the word, or like when you target someone, it's called committing a crime now, but only in this. Dumb. And it's like it's too much.
It's so dumb.
It's too much. But that's our opinions though on what we're probably going to see here with Magic and Spider-Man. Our hopes are that it's going to be
better
than Assassin's Creed. However, we know we've been burnt too many times with this now. So
we've been in this too long, Husky. We know better.
We know better.
We know better.
But yeah, so the biggest thing though is just, in my opinion now at this point, find the thing that you like in Magic and just stick to that one thing.
Yeah.
Because if enough of us do it, it's gonna force them to change something.
Yeah.
So, but all right. So final thing from you. What's your final thing for the good people?
While I've been talking shit about Magic and Wizards the whole time, I honestly, this and Edge of Eternity are the 2 things that I'm actually looking forward to the most out of Magic next year. Mainly because I'm interested to see what they do. I know I'm going to get my heart broken, but I'm interested to see what they do with Spider-Man. I'm hopeful. Always hopeful. And I think the idea for Edge of Eternity is going to be really cool, as long as they don't do the whole, like, space infinity thing, where it's, like, galactic war. I think if it's, like, the Nether Realm type deal, I'm with that. And I hope it leads to bigger things. Wizards, don't break my heart again, as you've done every year for the past 4 years.
Yeah, right. But so the biggest thing now, though, is we want to hear from you. Let us know down in the comments what your guys' opinions are, thoughts. What do you think is going to happen? Do you like any of the ideas that we had? Do you like our ideas for the different symbiote stuff, for the villains, for the Spider-Verse? Do you like our ideas for a universe reset? Let us know down in the comments, right? That's the biggest thing I'd like to know. So, thank you all for stopping by. Thank you, Jagger, for jumping in and deciding to do this on our free time. So, thank you all for coming by and hanging out. I appreciate it, as always. And depending on where you are, morning, afternoon, even night, still trouble, stay safe, and we talk to y'all later. Okay, bye.